Nearly everybody has this very common experience. We imagine something in a kind of a fantasy, daydreaming kind of way, going after some kind of objective, some cool thing that we would like to achieve. But as our mind is daydreaming along, an obstacle pops up. And this obstacle becomes the hairiest, the scariest, the most intimidating, the most anger-inducing, the most frustration-inducing obstacle we can possibly imagine. And then this keeps us from actually taking any action towards that objective. Sadly, most people never go past this obstacle, and this imagination keeps them stuck on the sidelines. The tragedy is that this obstacle, this fear, this big, scary, hairy fear, is not a representation of reality. It's a representation of your worst fears that you are projecting out onto reality. They say that our outer world is a projection of our inner world, or a reflection of our inner world, and this is one of the ways that happens. Because once we accept that this obstacle is actually part of reality, which it isn't, that will inform our confirmation bias. And we'll start to see evidence that this actually exists, and that will further keep us stuck in this vicious doom loop on the sidelines. But in reality, this obstacle that pops up in your fantasies is a gift from your subconscious. Because all you have to do is figure out a way to reframe this obstacle, to get around this obstacle, and that will crush your deepest fears. And simply by operating on the world, after having crushed your deepest fears, you'll be much more likely to be successful. So how do you do this? How do you use this as an obstacle to work on to crush your fears? Well, let's imagine you see a pretty girl. And you start to daydream about how fantastic it would be to walk over, get her number, have a fantastic relationship. But then you imagine getting crushed horrifically by her rejection of you. And let's say your worst case imagination is that she says, "I don't give my number to strangers." And she looks at you like she's about to call the cops. That's a fantastic starting point. The first step is to just imagine that happening. Imagine walking over there. Imagine asking for the number. And imagine her saying, "I don't give my number to strangers," and completely accept that. And then take the obstacle and use the obstacle reframing technique of taking it to silly levels. Imagine that she does call the cops. Imagine the cops come in and arrest you simply for asking for her phone number, and you get dragged out and you become famous on TikTok for being that guy who asked a girl for her number and ended up with a 20-year prison sentence. Imagine being world famous. Take it to its extreme and have fun laughing at how silly you can make that obstacle. Then approach her and pace the objection and add some of that silliness to the ask for the number. Now, this is not guaranteed to help you get the number, but it will turn a failure that will make you feel crappy, or something that you'll imagine that will make you feel crappy, into a victory, even though she might not give you the number. So walk over there with a playful attitude. Build up your playful attitude by imagining the TikTok prison sentence because you asked for her number. Put yourself in a good mood. Walk over there. Say, "Excuse me, I don't mean to bother you. And you seem like you're very pretty. You probably got hit on a lot by guys. And my intuition is telling me that you're not the kind of girl to give your number to a stranger. In fact, right now, I bet you're probably imagining how you can quickly reach for your phone and dial 911 so you don't have to put up with me asking for your number. That being said, I think you're really pretty, and I would like to get to know your personality. Why don't we exchange phone numbers?" And say that and see what she says. Even if she doesn't say yes, you'll be, if you're in a playful attitude, if you're in a playful mindset, and you say all that stuff about calling the cops, she will be at least a little bit entertained by that. And even if she says no, that will feel like a victory. And the actual thing that happens in the world, this is the most important part, the actual thing that happens in the world, even if it is technically a rejection, is not nearly as terrifying as that thing that you imagine in your mind. And if you make it a point to do this, every time you have one of these worst-case imaginations, to actually pace it, make it silly, put yourself in a good mood, say the silliness out loud, ask for the ask, and see what happens, that will prove to you over time that the biggest fears are just imaginary fears that are there from your subconscious to help you succeed, to help you push past those obstacles, to help you reframe and overcome those obstacles. So try this out. If you're not quite ready to walk over and ask for the number, just work on the part where you imagine the silly extreme of that happening and put yourself in a good laughing mood. Fully imagine yourself going to prison for 20 years, being famous on TikTok or whatever because you got rejected by some girl in a bar. Try this out, see what happens. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the links below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.